Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And in today's episode, the topic is, can Kawhi Leonard overcome a corrupt media and win the MVP? So that's the topic I want to get into in today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Also be on the lookout for our Dreamerspro premium community that's launching on February 1st, and also be on the lookout for Dreamerspro.com, which will be coming up, which we'll be working on after that. So please be on the lookout for all of these different things that we're working on. Anyway, let me get into this topic here. So this is a pretty this is a hot button issue for me, right? Because I've been profoundly disappointed with the basketball media all season long. Truly, I have. 2 years ago, if you told me that, listen, Charles, you and Marco, you guys are going to be doing sports content, I would have never believed you. Ever believed you, right? We were entrepreneurs. We did other things. So I never saw myself ever being in this position. But here we are. Here we find ourselves, right? And when I came into this industry, at first, you don't know anything about it, right? You come in as a fan, because I've always been a fan of basketball, and you just kind of understand the game and watch it on a superficial level. You don't go, you don't go too deep, because you just watch the sport. You don't have anything to do with it. But as I've now gone into the sport deeper, I've been a Kobe fan for the longest time. I saw how Kobe was kind of pushed to the side, especially after he retired. I saw how certain media pundits tried to sort of craft the narrative around Kobe Bryant, and how they are able to prop up certain figures and bring others down for reasons that remain unbeknownst to me. I don't know why they do it, but Kobe, retired, and it kind of stopped. I then became a Kawhi Leonard fan because he was like the third generation of Michael Jordan. The Jordan Kobe kind of player. He plays similarly to them, although obviously he's not as good as they are, but he's good in his own way. Right. So I started following Kawhi Leonard when he was with the San Antonio Spurs. And, I watched him kind of go through the whole situation with the Spurs, went to Toronto. And, that first year with the Toronto Raptors, I predicted that he would win the regular season. He would win the finals and win the MVP just as they started the playoffs playing against Orlando Magic, because I thought he was just that good. And he did. And I saw for the first time Kawhi Leonard started to get some recognition as a superstar. He finally did. He was getting courted by so many teams, but the main ones were the Clippers. We all know the story. Ended up going to sign with the Clippers. Now, they're going to be a crop of naive viewers that are always naive, that don't understand that there's certain things that go beyond just a meritocracy, and they're politics in whatever industry you're in. Trust me. If it's politics itself, they're politics. If it's business, they're politics, right? If you're in business, trust me, as someone that's worked in business, in Nigeria and other places, if you think that the best companies are the companies that are doing the best are just because they're the best, you're sadly mistaken, right? Certain contracts are going to go to certain people for political reasons. It has nothing to do with meritocracy. Two people can be qualified for a certain thing. One person just continues to get all of those deals. You think it's just because this guy is better? No. There's certain relationships that one person may have that another person doesn't have that kind of helps them excel, right? This happens in every walk of life. It happens in the workplace. Some people continue to excel, get promotions, while others don't. You're sitting there scratching your head. How come this guy or this girl keeps getting promoted, keeps going so far ahead? Meanwhile, I'm maybe just as good. Why am I not being recognized? They're politics. Certain people are chosen to move forward while others aren't. If you don't have the relationship, you can be as talented as you want. If you don't have connections, you ain't going anywhere, right? So we all know this. At least most of us know this. Last season, Kawhi Leonard had the audacity to say, I want to do my own thing. I don't want to do what you want me to do. I don't want to do what you think is the best thing for me to do. I want to do what I want to do. The guy decided, I want to go play with this organization, the Clippers, right? And I'm just going to paint a picture for you guys. He decided he wanted to go play with the Clippers. Shannon Sharp, who was probably one of the top 4 voices in sports, if we're talking about basketball on TV, him, Skip Bayless, Max Kellerman, and Stephen A. Smith, one of the top 4, decided that all of a sudden, because he decided he didn't want to play with the Lakers, he decided that Kawhi Leonard was going to be public enemy number one. Some people say, no, listen, these guys are supposed to debate, and it's part of their job. We all understand that. But these guys are not Hollywood actors. No one is that good. Shannon Sharpe genuinely detested Kawhi Leonard for doing that. Skip Bayless is also not guilty of this as well, because Skip Bayless generally doesn't like LeBron and finds every reason to ridicule the guy. I totally agree with that, but that's not the argument we're making here. After Kawhi Leonard went to the playoffs last year, blew that 3-1 lead, had a poor Game 7, you would have thought that Kawhi Leonard was the first person in NBA history to blow a 3-1 lead. My favorite basketball player of all time, and Kobe Bryant, who's my favorite basketball player, blew a 3-1 lead to the Suns. Steve Nash and Amar'e Stoudemire and these guys. That happened. I've seen Kobe get swept in the playoffs by the Dallas Mavericks. I've seen it happen. Kobe's a top 10 player of all time, top 5, wherever you have him. Many players have lost in the playoffs before. Many have, LeBron and others. Michael Jordan, right? No one is immune to this. But when Kawhi Leonard lost, the things that were now being said about the guy, especially Shannon Sharpe, go look. Shannon Sharpe Shannon Sharpe is hilarious. He's funny. But on that day, Shannon Sharpe was extremely obnoxious. And it seemed like it was personal. It seemed like it was personal the way he came at Kawhi. But we kind of forgot about that. We came into this new season, and in the NBA, they made their early season predictions, right? ESPN and all these other companies, they make their early season predictions. For regular season MVP, it was Luka, LeBron, and KD. Somebody help me understand. Why didn't they put Kawhi in that list? Why? He's just as good as anybody on that list. You didn't hear his name. So far this season, the Clippers have been one of the top two teams in the NBA, with them and the Lakers, if you go record-wise. This is not up for debate. If we're talking about what's happening this season, we're not talking about what happened in the playoffs last year. We're talking about this season. It's a new calendar year, because if you want to point to last season, we don't need to stop there. We can keep going back many years and point to everybody's flaws. Everyone is blemished. Everyone's record is blemished, with the exception of Michael Jordan in the finals, right? But even he lost in the playoffs. So no one's record is without fault. Everyone has failed at one point or another. So I don't want to hear the thing about the 3-1 lead. It's a new season. We're living in 2021. No one is living in 2020, right? So this season, the Clippers have been one of the top two teams in the NBA. They've beaten about 7 above 500 teams. Kawhi Leonard is having a 50, 40, 90 season. Great numbers, 26 points per game. If I look at his productivity, 26 points per game, 5.4 rebounds, 5.7 assists, shooting 50% from the field, over 40% from the three, 90% from the free throw line, getting you 2 steals a game. One of the top records in the NBA. And in all of this, I have yet to hear one media head, mainstream media person, bring up Kawhi Leonard's name for regular season MVP. Why is no one mentioning this guy? We've spoken about Joel Embiid. We're talking about KD. We're spoken about KD. We spoke about LeBron. We spoke at one point they were talking about Luka. Somebody help me understand why we're not mentioning Kawhi Leonard's name. What is that all about? What is really going on? Right? What is going on with this? Stephen A. Smith, some people feel like I'm attacking him. Listen, I'm telling you what I think. I'm not afraid to tell you what I think, right? Because I think some people on this channel respect us because we're telling them, we're not trying to, no one is coming here to telling us what to say. We don't have any pre-production meetings and we sit in a room and my boss comes in. We don't have any bosses. We work for ourselves. So no one comes to tell me what and what I cannot say. The only person I collaborate with or rub heads with is Marco about this, period. End of story. No one is mentioning this. Stephen A. Smith comes on TV and says, I'm a basketball expert. How can you be a basketball expert and never mention Kawhi Leonard and never point to some of the other great players in the NBA? When they ask you who's the regular season MVP, he says KD. He's averaging 30. What does Kevin Durant averaging 30 have to do with him being MVP? What does that have to do with anything? That is an individual stat. Their team is horrible in defense. They just won a game against, the Atlanta Hawks. They gave up like over 120 plus points in that game. They're not one of the best teams in the NBA. If I look at the Brooklyn Nets record right now in the Eastern Conference, they're number 4. They have a 12-8 record. How is KD the MVP? I've never heard him mention not once the name Kawhi Leonard. Why? What is that? Like, what is really going on with this thing here? Then Kawhi Leonard and Paul George were mysteriously taken away from the Clippers for no reason before their 6-game road trip. Some people have tried to say, well, it's because of this, it's because of that. Listen, none of those arguments are sufficient because I can't look at any one of those arguments and say, okay, this makes sense. It doesn't make sense. We're not stupid here. You're not going to spit in my face and tell me that it's raining. No one is stupid here. You're not going to tell me that, okay, just these two guys were affected and not trying to intellectualize it and say, well, it's because of the contact tracing or it's because of this or it doesn't make any sense to me. I think I can understand things pretty well. If that made sense to me, I'll say, oh God, it doesn't, right? Another thing I want to say, we may not be Fox, we may not be ESPN. We may not be Fox Sports. Right? We may not be one of these big companies that get to control the narrative and shape opinions to that degree. But guess what? We're eventually going to become a voice in this realm. We're eventually going to become something because with the advent of technology and these tech companies, these big boys no longer going to be dominating the airwaves for much longer. It's not going to happen, right? Before, cable TV was the big thing. Now Netflix, Disney Plus, HBO Max, and all Amazon Prime and all that. TV's starting to go extinct. People's attention is starting to shift. People no longer are feeling like, okay, for me to get the information I want, I have to go to CNN, or I have to go to Fox News, or I have to go to ESPN, right? There are other outlets out there. And eventually, independent media companies like us are eventually going to grow big enough where we become an authority just to give people a balance. But with ESPN and some of these major corporations, I get the sense that with the Stephen A. Smiths and all of these guys of the world, I get the sense that politics is driving a lot of the opinions that these guys are disseminating to the public. I don't believe that these guys are giving other players a fair shake. I still don't understand why Kawhi Leonard's name is not being mentioned in any of these top top MVP discussions. Truly, I don't understand that. I never understand it. When the guy does poorly, he's front page news. When he does well, no one talks about it. What is that about? Why is it always when this guy does something bad, we want to make a story out of it? What is that about? What is really going on with this with these guys? I know that these guys have to have certain relationships. I know that they can say certain things and can't say certain things. We don't have that problem. We can say whatever the hell we want to say. I don't have a boss. I don't have a boss. There's nobody I have to answer to. I don't need to do any interview with any NBA player. I could care less to interview a single basketball player ever. I don't want to interview with you. I don't want to hang out with you. I don't want to go to lunch with you. We can be in the same restaurant. I'm not going to come and say hi to you. I don't care to have a relationship with these guys. Truly, I don't. We don't have any major endorsement for some big company that says, oh, you can't say that. And if any company ever tried to say, oh, Dreamerspro, listen, we're going to give you $100,000 a month or whatever it is, but you can't say this, and this about certain players, we would never take such a deal. Because these guys, I think the media is too corrupt. I said it. Because certain people are being overlooked for no reason, and others are being propped up for no reason. You're not going to tell me a 2-time finals MVP is going to continuously be overlooked like this. And you want to tell me that, oh, Kevin Durant and you're averaging 30. Thank God I've never made it on ESPN because I cut Stephen A. Smith out. I don't care. I don't care. I don't work for them. I don't work for them. He ain't my dad. I'll tell him exactly what I think. Trust me. Because it makes no sense for these guys to continue to do this. And they do it because they feel like they're an authority. But guess what? In the next 10, 15 years, other companies are going to be, they're going to have other voices out there. Period. End of story. There are other companies that are getting millions of hits on their websites. There are other companies that people are watching their sports channels. So it's not just ESPN or Fox Sports. But these guys, I think, have stopped telling the truth a long time ago. I think it's all about politics. It's all about who's lining their pockets behind closed doors. That's what I believe. That it's all about the relationships and not wanting to say certain things about this person because this person may say not to say this, and this person told me I can't say this. And this is the reason why we're overlooking a lot of great players just because of what? So for me, I've been profoundly disappointed with the basketball media up until this point. I think their agendas, and I think it's sick. I think it's sick. I think a lot of these people are afraid to say what they really think, and that's terrible. Because the minute you start being afraid to tell people what you truly think, you've lost people. That's why it says on our banner head of our channel, a fresh take on sports. Not your take, not the next take, a fresh take. So guys, please, I know I went off on a tangent here, but I had to get this off my chest. So please let me know what your thoughts and opinions are about this. Let me know if you guys agree with me. Let me know if you disagree with me. Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro, wishing you guys an amazing day and catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.